pretty amazing place in New Canaan. I have to say that I was so excited to come here because I've heard from so many people how wonderful meditation is. Never done it, but when I looked on your website and the things that it can help, I checked off every box.
Okay, good. And that's, a lot of people are checking off those boxes because the way that our society is now, we spend so much time doing things constantly. So we're working, we're with our families, and then we're on the phone, we're on the computer, we're on social media, Instagram, Facebook. We really never stop. And that's what causes the stress. It's that thing about just never stopping to sit down, and then also not staying in the present, which is something that most people are, I don't want to say guilty of, it's just part of our lives. We spend so much time dwelling on the past and worrying about the future that we're not staying in the present where there may be some good stuff happening, and that's really what causes the stress. It's that one little place in between the future worry and the dwelling of the past that really is that quiet place that we want to get to in meditation.
And sleep can also be a quiet place, which I also
sleeping is
thought this would help.
Meditation really is a practice, and it's something you build. And I've meditated for many years off and on. It's never been a perfect linear thing. But I do find when I focus and get to this mindful place where you really are present entirely in your body, enjoying the energy of the earth, the sky, your own body, right? This is when you start to really, experience yourself in your own awareness. So how do you teach people how to do that? It's been a slow thing for me.
Yeah, and it's a slow thing for a lot of people because, as I said, we really never stop. So most people aren't used to just sitting down and being quiet, and the urge is, let me get my phone. I mean, it's like you're driving a car, you stop at a light, you have to grab your phone, you have to look at something. We're always so concerned about what else is happening aside from what's happening in the moment. So
what year did that happen?
Man, it's been going on for a while. So we teach people by getting them to come in and sit down, and for a group class, it's a 30-minute class. So some of the classes are more guided than others, so I'll talk a little bit more. Just tell people how to use their breath. We do some counting of the breath. And if someone's really a beginner, we do a meditation one-on-one workshop, and we start really, really slowly in that. So we'll do just take one breath, follow it in, and follow it out. And then we'll build up gradually from there. People can move a little bit in between. I think a lot of people have this misconception that you have to sit straight up and you can't move, and you have to chant, and you have all these strict things that you have to do in meditation. And that's one of the things that one of the myths that I'm trying to dispel. I'm trying to demystify meditation, because you don't have to do any of those things. You don't have to be a Buddhist, and you don't have to wear a robe, and you don't have to chant. It's really just a matter of finding the best way to stay in the present and keep coming back to the breath. And the breath, or a mantra, which is a word that's repeated, or a visualization, just focusing on something that I describe, whether it's a picture or a light or a scene. That's the way we learn, by just continuing to come back to the breath, come back to the mantra, or come back to the visualization. And it's like exercise. You do it once, nothing really happens, and it's challenging. You do it 5 times, nothing really happens. It's maybe a little less challenging, but when you continue to do it regularly, then it's going to be easier, and it's going to be more effective.
And what happens when you do it regularly? How does that work? No, seriously,
it's calming. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that I've found is I've had to train my mind. We call it the monkey mind. Your mind pops out and it goes off into other places.
Right.
And being able to bring it back, not kind of scream at yourself in your head like, oh my God, you did it again. Just like calmly go, oh, okay, back to my breath.
Yes.
Back to this place of awareness and centeredness and energy work.
Right, exactly. And and that's a Buddhist term, monkey mind. And I think a lot of people suffer from that. If you imagine a monkey swinging from branch to branch to branch to branch, that's what we do with our thoughts. We go from one thing to the next. So what are we doing? When's our appointment? What are we doing with work? What are we doing with our kids? What are we having for dinner? And it just never stops. So you keep coming back to the breath, and at first it's going to be challenging. You may take one breath and not be able to, and then have 25 thoughts. But maybe eventually you'll take 2 breaths and have 25 thoughts. And eventually you can take more breaths without having so many thoughts.
And that must be a true relief for so many people Because most of these things that we're thinking about, oh my goodness, most of them are nothing. That can't wait.
Exactly, and a lot of
Most
them,
of them.
yeah, and a lot of them are non-thoughts. It's those, I mean, they're thoughts, but it's those could have, would haves, and should haves. So
Regretful
we worry
things.
about what might happen. I have a doctor's appointment. This terrible thing's going to happen. I know the results are going to be terrible. Or, you know, why didn't I make a different decision 20 years ago? I should have taken that job, or I shouldn't have said, I shouldn't have ended that relationship. And we dwell on these things sometimes for years and years and years. Why didn't I go on that trip to Paris? My life would be so much better if I had done that. And
This can help with that?
Well,
Sign me up.
Well, yeah.
Again, getting your mind calming, but also again, it's a practice. And coming into guided meditation, for example, it feels so good to do it with other people. Even though
Right.
I tend to meditate alone, I just feel like there's such a good energy when you're in a room with other people
Yes.
in that space.
Yeah, there is. It's a collective energy, and it's just nice to be amongst people who are like-minded. Just nice to be in a community of meditators. It's like taking a yoga class. You can do a yoga class on your own, but it's a different feeling when you're with a group of people and you're feeling that energy and everybody's working together and breathing together. And here we just keep coming back to the present together.
And it's a vast range of ages that comes to you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
men and women. And
Yeah.
what is the youngest to the oldest that typically comes in here?
We had a 12-year-old come in, and kids are welcome if they can sit for 30 minutes, and parents know their children. So there may be some kids who are hyperactive who it may not be appropriate for, but if a kid can sit for 30 minutes, you know, not just doing nothing but listening to and taking instruction, then I mean it's really good. I've actually taught meditation to special needs first graders, and that's really incredible. We don't do it obviously the same way that we do meditation here, but it's more like breathing games and kind of tricking them into inhaling and taking deep breaths, and we do animal imitations, and we do progressive muscle relaxation with squishy toys. And so those kids are 6. So, and then as far as the oldest, we've got people in their 80s, and anybody can do it.
So one thing Jill noticed on your website is, and this class just makes me smile and happy, is it loving kindness meditation? A class on loving kindness.
Yes.
How good is that?
So how does that work? That sounds so interesting.
It's great, and we just added that. So loving kindness meditation is supposed to cultivate feelings of loving kindness. It's a mostly guided meditation, and you'll start out thinking of a person that you love. And it doesn't have to be, I was a little shy about loving kindness meditation in the beginning, because I was thinking, people have to think of someone they love. What if they're not in a relationship? What if they don't love anybody? But it can be a person who's a higher being. I mean, you start out think about a person that you love, and there's a fixed dialogue, or maybe it's not a dialogue, but you know, fixed things that you say. And then you think about a person who you're neutral about, and then you think about a person you don't like, and then you think about community, and then you think about the world, and you start expanding it out, and you're sending out feelings of loving kindness and good feelings to all of these different people and groups, and it really helps to cultivate good feelings inside yourself.
You grow your heart chakra.
Yeah, you really do.
I love that. And so
Wonderful.
afterwards, how does that travel out with you? Like, what happens? What are the effects when you're in class and you're doing this enough? I would think you'd leave so at peace.
Elevated.
Yeah. Elevated, feeling kindly toward people. I mean, I know when I do it, I feel, you know, some of the stuff that I have, you know, some of the things that are going on inside, just, you know, kind of simmer down a little bit. It's just, it's a really nice meditation.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so your day job is as an attorney. How did you develop this practice and bring you to meditation?
Yeah, I know it seems like the polar opposite, which it really is. I've been practicing law for about 20 years, and I really needed something to balance that and to reduce the stress. So about 10-12 years ago, I started practicing yoga, which I loved, and I became certified in teaching yoga, learning about meditation. I got a certification in teaching meditation as well, but I've been teaching yoga and meditation now for about 10 years. And meditation, I always made it part of my yoga classes, but I just never felt like it was really enough. I didn't want to only
10 minutes or 15 minutes.
Yeah,
at the
I felt
end,
that there was a need for just dedicated meditation classes.
I love it.
And that's right here.
And I actually believe this. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I have clients who are on medications, etc. And I think this is one of the places to go to sort of segue out of them and to learn to. Our minds are so powerful and so calming if we really, manage our monkey minds and come to a peaceful, aware place and send out loving kindness. We can all have pretty good, happy lives.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Yeah.
And so many people were interested when we said we were coming here to meet you and talk about this. Oh, you meditate, or tell me about that. I know several people do, but there are a lot of people, and I think you're erasing the mystery a bit. And I like the thought of coming to a class to start, because sometimes it's a lot of pressure on yourself to know, am I doing this right? Am I following?
Right.
And so it's great to have a wonderful teacher, I think.
And I think that's one of the benefits of coming to a group class, is that you can ask questions, and you can see that other people who are like you may be struggling with it, or maybe doing it, or just that there's no mystery to it. It's just it's nice. I mean, my recommendation would be at least take 1 or 2 group classes during the week, and then meditate on your own a few days a week as well, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes a day. I think it's really important.
I think too, like sometimes we're all really hard on ourselves, and we think, oh no, I could never do that. I couldn't sit still for that much time. But even if you start with a very small amount, with a lot of loving kindness to yourself, and then come into a group and you sort of start developing again, it's practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not always going to be perfect, and sometimes you just maybe walk away early. That's okay too, right?
Yeah, there are many people who say they can't meditate. I can't meditate. I can't play golf. I mean, but if somebody taught me, then I probably could.
Yeah.
Okay, so some specific questions.
Sure.
Let's say you might have an insomnia problem or some sleeping problems.
Yes.
Is it best to meditate before bed? Does it really matter? Should you come to classes towards the evening? Or if you're having, anxiety at work, is it best to come in the morning? Or does that not really matter? Does it carry through?
I think the most important thing about meditation is to do it, set up a routine for yourself and do it at the same time every day. So it's nice to do before you go to bed if you have a sleeping problem, because it'll settle you down then. But if you can't for some reason, if you're really crazy busy and you just come home and you're exhausted, then I think doing it in the morning would be helpful as well, as long as you do it, because
maybe at 3 in the morning.
It helps.
Seriously, that might be helpful.
If you wake up, you can certainly do a meditation during the night, but the goal is to not wake up, and it does help with insomnia when it's practiced regularly. Yeah, because what it's doing is it's helping bring you back into the present. So you're not worrying about the future, dwelling on the past. And if you practice that enough, you'll start to be there. You'll start feeling those feelings during your meditation practice, but then eventually that will carry over into your life.
There's really good science, literally MRI studies of monks versus people who are just starting the practice of meditation. Even 90 days of meditating rewires your brain. It actually grows part of your hippocampus.
Yes.
It's pretty extraordinary. So there's lots of good reasons to do this.
There are some people that naturally don't worry as much about the past or the present that I know. They're kind of okay with it. I'm not one of those people. And so I think this is an amazing thing to try.
I think it'd be beneficial to everybody. I don't think there's anybody who would not gain something from having a regular practice.
Me too.
So to learn more about Grounded Meditation, which is a great name, in New Canaan, in a lovely studio.
Yes.
The website is Grounded Meditation
It's groundedmeditationstudio.com.
And you have several classes a week. Interesting.
We have our summer schedule now. We've got classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, different times of day. We'll be adding more again in the fall. And we've got the variety of classes. We've got mindfulness meditation, mantra meditation, visualization, loving kindness. We do a 5:30 class on Wednesdays called Unwind Meditation, which is kind of a combination of things. So there's something for everybody. We have private sessions as well.
Most of these classes are how long?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Right.
Should they work out before or after? Does that not matter either?
It doesn't
I think
matter.
I'm making this be more it can be anything, anytime.
Right. It doesn't matter. And I think a lot of people feel like since you mentioned working out, that it's either or, but it really should be both.
Both.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for telling us about Grounded Meditation.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Very cool.